I'm Dr. Jennifer Geddes-McAlister, and I'm an assistant professor in the Molecular and Cellular Biology Department at the University of Guelph and recipient of the 2022 International Summer Studentship Award through the One Health Institute. So in my lab, we investigate host pathogen interactions, and we use mass spectrometry-based proteomics to do this. And so that is the study of proteins. So we want to know, how does a pathogen adapt to a host environment, and how does a host defend itself from a pathogen to cause infection and to clear infection. And for the International Summer Studentship in particular, we're looking at Fusarium head blight, which is a fungal disease of cereal crops, and we're investigating the mycotoxins that it produces. And those mycotoxins have implications for animal feed. They're present in water runoff, within processed grains, and that for human consumption they can be present, and they lower the quality of the grain, but also nutritional value, and they have toxic effects on those that consume them. And so we want to identify proteins in the plant that are able to degrade these mycotoxins, so that hopefully if the fungal infection occurs, it doesn't matter as much because you're able to clear out the harmful toxins from the plants. Fusarium head blight, the disease itself, definitely has global distribution, and primarily along like equatorial lines, but really North America, South America, in Asia, Europe, is quite found internationally. However, there is a huge problem within North America itself, in particular within Ontario, Alberta, Manitoba, wherever. For cereal grains such as wheat and barley and corn, it's highly prevalent, but then it's also present in oats and soybean as well. So definitely regional, but also global scale too.
What does One Health mean to you?
That's a tricky question. I think One Health is it's a difficult term, and everybody has their own definition of it, but I also think that's the beauty of it, because you really can look at it from many different perspectives. So for myself, it's the interconnectivity that occurs among environment, animal, and human health. And any projects that are part of, investigating components of those that feed into the others, I think all fall within the One Health realm. And so for myself, it's really that holistic view of bettering not only our health, but the health of those around us, the animals around us, our environment, the health of our environment, but then also looking at it from the agriculture perspective and looking at food security and, protecting our resources as well.
How does your research relate to One Health specifically?
So the One Health aspect of our research program is rather serendipitous, because our work on Fusarium head blight is one portion of the lab, and we investigate these mycotoxins that impact animal and human health. And then of course they're present in the environment and within agriculture. They're relevant within agriculture sector. And so there you have in itself this environment animal One Health connection with human and animal health. But then on the other side of the lab, we're studying Cryptococcus neoformans, which is a human fungal pathogen, and this is present within the environment. And so you have these, to prevent Fusarium infection, you have fungicides applied in the field. Those fungicides then remain in the environment. This environmental microbe is then exposed to them, increasing its resistance to the antifungal. And then if someone is infected with the other fungal pathogen, they go to the clinic, they now have resistance and are unable to be treated. So really the One Health component is within each project, but then also in an overall program to improve both food security as well as global human health and animal health as well.
What excites you most about your research?
Definitely the exciting part about the research is seeing everything come together, and also working with my trainees and seeing their passion for the research. And so if I propose a project and you have a trainee or a student that's really interested in it, that in itself is very rewarding. But then also to see them learning and growing throughout the project while you're also seeing the science advance, like the combination of the two, I think is the most exciting part of what I do, for sure.
Is a lot of your research project just lab work, or did you get the chance to do any field work?
Quite a few of our research projects are based within the lab. But every now and then the students get to go outside the lab, which I think is so exciting, and they get to go on field trips. I usually stay in my office. I don't get to go on these field trips, but they do, which is really exciting. And I think for this particular project, I know there was some greenhouse work, so certainly going over to some different buildings and crop sciences. But then one of the most rewarding parts of it was the Aurora field day, research field day that they have. And so one of the research stations in Aurora, where we do some field trials, they have a research day and they invite everyone that's working on projects related to the field trials to come out. And so Jiaxi, the student working on the project and the recipient of the studentship, was able to go to this event and tour the different facilities and visit the different fields and also discuss his research and projects with people. And so that really takes it out of the lab and what we do, thinking what we're doing is so important in the lab, out into the field where it actually makes a difference. And you can talk to farmers, you can talk to other researchers, you can talk to funders, all those different partners that come together to make the research possible.
Okay, and that was going to lead me on to my next question. I was just going to ask, how has the studentship kind of changed how you do research?
Yes, so the award itself, the studentship, was fantastic because I was able to recruit an excellent undergraduate student to move this project forward, and even more so, it was dedicated to an international student, which in my lab, but also in my professional and personal lives, I think promoting equity, diversity, and inclusion is very, very important, and we do that in many different ways. And one component is within the individuals that you can recruit to your lab and work with, and then different mentoring styles. But the other component is the projects that you work on as well, and that they make an impact across the globe and across populations. And so the studentship allowed me to recruit an international student that didn't have previous experience with molecular biology, but had a real passion for fungal pathogens of crops because of his parents' experience and their own business in his home country. And so just like that passion and dedication was really exciting and made the selection really really easy for me to hire the student, recruit the student. But definitely the opportunity to bring a student onto the project and provide them with a summer internship was very valuable, definitely.
Just from this studentship alone in the summer, were there any outcomes or results you'd want to touch on or share about?
I would say that so Jiaxi, for his studentship, is working directly with a graduate student, Reed Buchanan, on the research project, and they've made a lot of progress over the summer. So we were very much at a discovery stage I would say, in March and April, looking at plant proteins that were potentially involved in degradation of these mycotoxins. And then over the summer, they've developed a platform to actually investigate it further and to characterize these plant proteins, to identify candidates and prioritize them. So there's been a bioinformatics component as well. And the results are really exciting to see. We have some good positive controls that we expect, and we have some really exciting uncharacterized proteins that may very well be associated with degradation of these mycotoxins. And so both Jiaxi and Reed are working towards characterizing them. And Jiaxi will be staying in the group for his fourth year research project in the fall semester to help move that forward as well.
Why do you choose molecular biology? Why do you use why did you choose plant protein for your research?
Let's see. So my passion for, it's basically based off fungal pathogens, actually. So during my undergraduate degree and my master's, I worked on Fusarium head blight in barley and using early technology of proteomics to investigate changes in proteins. At the time, I didn't really appreciate the grand scale of everything. And so once I started my own lab, I wanted to make sure that I brought back some of that research I had initially done and pursued that avenue of research. And I think it's very, very rewarding to have different components of your lab. Some people are working on plants, some are working on human pathogens. And because even though they're so different, we learn a lot from the two different sides, and that's really exciting as well. So that's kind of what brought me back. It's really the fungal pathogens that brought it back to plants, and then just the difference that we can make is exciting.
And have you been able to contribute with anyone outside of the university in terms of this project, or?
So we're very fortunate that the overall project, so the studentship, of course, is funded through the One Health Institute, and the overall project is funded through the Ontario Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs, OMAFRA, as well as Grain Farmers of Ontario and CCAN. So we've been very fortunate to have this funding, which moves the entire program forward, and also then to interact with different researchers, partners, producers, growers, farmers that are all part of these networks that also help to tailor the research so that it's very directed. So we have that translational kind of end goal in mind of improving the quality of the grains that are available for consumption.
Do you have any other side projects that you've been working on this summer that are outside of the studentship?
Yes, absolutely. So we have a big lab and there's a lot going on. So the Fusarium head blight project takes up, I would say, about a third of the lab is one size of the group, or one component of it. And Jack Shees, the mycotoxin project, is the biggest piece of that Fusarium work. And then we also look at Cryptococcus neoformans, the other fungal pathogen that I had mentioned, and that is a human fungal pathogen, but also present in animals. And we're looking at identifying host pathogen interactions there. So a very similar concept with the Fusarium work, just a different pathogen, and also looking at antifungal resistance and how we can overcome antifungal resistance, because that's one of our biggest threats in treating diseases, fungal diseases, but also bacterial diseases, is resistance. And so we're looking at ways to overcome that as well.